Hello. What I wanted to talk about in this video is something that'll probably take a series of videos, but it's something that I'm finding is very common in my conversations with individuals and entrepreneurs when we talk about wealth building and building your wealth roadmap. Um, and it's really about mindset. You can't approach a problem with the wrong mindset. I chose my words carefully there because you can approach any problem in any way, but the probability of success in approaching or overcoming that problem is limited when your mindset's wrong. I mean, there's a very cliche Henry Ford quote: if you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't, or vice versa. I probably said that backwards, not really giving him much credit by doing that. Sorry. Um, and it's definitely something that I've struggled with in parts of my life. And a lot of it has to do with the way I was brought up, in the way that I viewed money, um, in the way that even when I first started making money, the mistakes that I made that took me a decade to overcome. So what I want to talk about in this video is some of those mindset things that I want you to be conscious of, so that you can work on them as you approach building your wealth roadmap and working to build wealth. One book that's been instrumental for me in that process is A Framework for Understanding Poverty. I've read this book so many times that I've probably read 4 or 5 different editions at this part. It's got great stories that help you to see the journey through the eyes of other people. In some cases, you could see self-reflection in those stories. In other cases, you can see how other people have significantly more problems that they need to overcome in order to start to build wealth. But if you don't change that poverty mindset and become into a wealth mindset, then the probability of you building wealth is very slim. No matter how hard you work, you're always going to fall victim to traits that are holding you back. So I've got a couple notes on some of these. These aren't necessarily just from this book. So I highly recommend you grab a copy of this book if you feel like you've ever struggled to build wealth. It might not be your intelligence. It might not be opportunity. It might not even be skill set. Could be mindset. So let's go over a few things that you should be aware of so that if you see these in yourself, let's work on this first, and then let's go into our wealth journey and building our wealth roadmap so that we both have a chance to be successful. One of the biggest ones is negative words and thoughts. As entrepreneurs, we face that roller coaster of emotion when it comes to success and failure. We have to deal with lots and lots of failure in order to find success. But it's what we do with that failure or what we think about ourselves in that failure that's really a determining factor on the level of success that we're going to have. So if you catch yourself saying negative things about yourself, like backhanded jokes about your capabilities, your skills, your accomplishments, those self-defeating phrases or statements are one of the biggest indicators that you're holding yourself back from wealth. You have to be able to embrace your positive skill sets and the success that you have, learn from the mistakes, and then systematically move forward. You really have to change your view of wealth too. It's very common for people to look at wealth as, what's the best way to word this? Often when I talk to people about what wealth means to them, they say freedom, but then they struggle to define what freedom means. And that's a big part of why we go through the exercises that we do in order to build that ultimate wealth goal and then to design our ideal lifestyle after that so that you can really articulate what freedom means to you. When you chase an intangible, something that's not defined, you'll never know if you reach it. And if you never know if you're going to reach it, then it's very easy for you to make excuses when you fail to reach it because you never articulated what it was that you were actually going after. So you have to change your wealth mindset. You have to be able to define in detail what wealth is. If you can't write down a day in the life of wealthy you, the likelihood of you becoming wealthy is very slim. So we need to change the way that we look at wealth and look at it as an instrument towards something specific, and we'll be more successful. You also need to learn to relax. I often find the people that are most stressed out about money are the ones that, and it's not because they don't have it that they're not making it. It's the stress that they associate with not having it that keeps them in a perpetual state of not having it. It's almost is the wrong word. It is an abundance mindset. When you accept the fact or acknowledge the fact that there is an overwhelming amount of wealth out there and opportunity, and that you are in no way limited to the amount of money that you can make, you will start to make more. And it sounds maybe a little counterintuitive to say that, but if you're constantly thinking about not having wealth or not having money, that's that negative thought that's in your brain. How are you going to ever allow wealth to come into you? You can call this law of attraction, you can call this whatever, but it's really, to me, mindset. One of the most important parts in this is, of course, you have to make a plan. You have to set a goal, and you have to make a plan to reach that goal. If you don't do that, how are you going to know if you ever get there? You're not going to know the steps that it takes to get there. So we're going to write down that goal. We're going to create a plan. In fact, we're going to create multiple plans that are layered on top of each other to make it easy for you to dissect problems when you're not achieving your goals. Two more. You need to take responsibility for your actions in this. If you're an individual in business that is often willing to blame other people for your failures, and I will accept the fact that for a long time, my ego had me doing this. In fact, most of 2014, no, let's go 2012 through maybe 2017, I mean, 5 years of my life, all I wanted to do was throw blame on everyone that had done me wrong and why I was moving sideways. In fact, in some cases, moving backwards instead of forwards. It was only when I let go of that and started to accept my part in any failure that I had that I was able to brush it off, shake it off, and move forward. The last one is if you're going to overcome the poverty mindset and you're going to build wealth, you just can't give up. No matter what happens in your personal life, your professional life, your financial life, there will be ups and downs. There will be moments where you want to just throw it all away and disappear for 6 months. Well, you can disappear for 6 months if you built wealth, but if you're in your journey and you've got a process put in place, a system put in place, and you're going through the process, giving up at any stage means that you're not going to reach your ultimate goal. And it is a long journey in many cases. Now, when you're thinking about overcoming poverty mindset, you're thinking about creating a wealth mindset, you actually open yourself up to greater opportunity that'll often shorten the cycle. What I am finding is the people that I'm talking to that have followed a similar process throughout their life, they're constantly telling me that, yes, you know what, I set this long-term goal for the amount of wealth that I wanted to have. And I set a system and I started working towards it, and I wouldn't allow myself to be distracted. And you know what happened, Roger? It came so much faster than expected because I cleared out all the BS. I organized my process. I focused in on my one thing. I knew my target. I knew what life was going to be like after that. And all of a sudden, the momentum started going, and I wanted it so bad that I started seeing things differently. I started acting differently, talking differently, thinking differently, doing different, bigger, better deals. And it came to me. I can admit I personally have experienced that. Setting a goal for the year 2040 and reaching it in 2020 is a huge part of why I'm putting this together. I truly believe that when you put the right mindset in play with the right goal and then the right system to get there, and then the right accountability to help you along the way, you'll reach your goals faster than you ever anticipated. So here is to your success. And if you have any questions or you want to talk about maybe some negative mindset items that you might be holding on to and how we might be able to overcome those, look on this page for a link over to the In Search of Wealth page. And on there's buttons to schedule a call. Looking forward to talking with you. Peace.